Hey guys, what it do? It's your boy Supreme Uchiha the God, and today I want to talk about my favorite villain in anime and one of my favorite characters in fiction, and that is Obito Uchiha. I think Obito Uchiha is such an intriguing and interesting character because he really parallels Naruto so well, and I actually think he should have been the final villain after Madara. I think he should have betrayed Madara, and I was okay with Madara betraying him, but I know Madara was just difficult. I don't know. I think it just would have worked better if Naruto ended with either Madara or Obito. But it's not really about that. This video is more about why Obito is such a fantastic character. If we go back to his youth, he's a little bit of a troublemaker. He seems to be an orphan. It's not really confirmed if he's an orphan, but it seems like he's an orphan. He's always helpful. He's late for everything because he's helping the granny cross the road. He's helping somebody find their cat. He's always doing good deeds every single day. And that's just because he felt like it was the right thing to do. In fact, Naruto's mother, Kushina, it was literally her favorite student of Minato's student. She wanted Naruto to grow up like Obito, and I think that in itself is such a beautiful story to tell. The fact that she wanted her own son to be just like Obito, just because of how kind and caring and wonderful Obito as a child was. And in many ways, Naruto did turn out like Obito, but he turned out like that Obito that didn't lose Rin, the Obito that didn't get crushed under that rock, the Obito before his whole world fell apart, and the Obito that didn't see war. And I think it's important to really understand the psychology of why Obito ended up changing so much and how he ended up in a situation where he was now working with Madara and doing things that, would put the world in a war. Because I think at some point he decided that seeing this much death, this much suffering, and this much blood, and repeating itself over and over again. Because at that point, that was the third Great Ninja War when he got hit under that rock, and in the same war, Madara found him, healed him, and during the same war, Rin died. And I think he was thinking about going back to the village because he was there healing and his body wasn't ready yet, and he was waiting for his body to heal so that he can probably go back to the leaf. But he saw just how much bloodshed and what Kakashi did or had to do, and he never, he could have attacked Kakashi there and then, but he didn't hate Kakashi for it. I think he hated the world for it. And his solution, right? Because if you think about Naruto, Madara and Obito both have the same goal, and that's to end wars completely at any cost. And we have to understand that at any cost is usually not the best way to choose morally to do anything morally, because at any cost, you can't sacrifice 1,000 babies because in the future, maybe no babies might be harmed. That's not the best way to do things, is what I would say. And I think, but for Obito, that was the best way to do things, right? Let's take everybody on Earth, let's kill countless of people, get these nine tails, and once we get these nine tails, then let's make the ten tail, revive the ten tail, and put the whole world in a Genjutsu, and boom, everybody will live a life not a life without suffering. I think that wasn't the point, but a life without real war and real death and real consequences. You can live your life, your ideal life, because your ideal life is still gonna have struggles in it, but ideally you're gonna come out of it on top, and you're gonna come out of it better and stronger. And anybody that dies in your dream is just in your dream. They're in their own dream. They're the main character. They're the protagonist, and they're the hero or the villain or whatever it is that they want to be, and they're the ones accomplishing all their goals. So, and even if they kill 1,000,000 people in their dream, they're actually not harming anybody. It's all in their head. And I think that was the goal behind Obito and Madara's plan. And I think why Obito is, I think, should have been the final villain is because he parallels Naruto. He wanted to be Hokage because he finally wanted to be seen. He wasn't doing great in the academy, and he joined, Minato's team and passed. You know, and he went to war at a very young age, being frankly quite underskilled, unlocking his Sharingan during the war, basically. And I mean, if he had his Mangekyo during the war, I think, but actually, people think that he might have slightly phased when the rock hit him, but I doubt that's true, only because we see later that when Rin dies, his Mangekyo unlocks and Kakashi's Mangekyo unlocks simultaneously, because they share the exact same eyes. So I think it's more than likely that that's when it actually unlocked, unless you can partially unlock it, but we've never seen any proof of that. So I would say that it probably happened when Rin thing happened, and that rock, him surviving that, maybe he's far more resilient and more durable than he or anybody else ever thought. And I think it's proven by how he survives a Rasengan to the back, a Chidori to the heart, all sorts of shit that he survives. He even survives death and then Kamui's his powers to Kakashi in the afterlife, So he's capable of some insane feats and durability and endurance. But I think those are the things. And I think the Akatsuki and him not just going back to the Leaf Village and destroying it and taking over the Nine Tails. I think a lot of people are like, why didn't he do this? I think he made a deal with Itachi, and I think he followed through on it. I think he in his head, he's not in a rush because his plan will cause eternal peace. And, getting rid of the Uchihas, he needed Itachi as well because, Itachi killed his dad, Wicked Eyes, and his dad didn't fight back. And I think chances are his dad was going to mollywop Itachi at that time because I don't think Itachi had quite reached his prime. But his dad said, if this is the decision my son has decided to make, then, I will accept it and I will die because I raised this child and this child ended up being the one that's massacring his own family. And I will not fight my own child. And I think the beauty in that, is just amazing. And then Obito doesn't seem to have any attachment to the Uchiha in the same way because he probably was ostracized as a kid the whole time, So I think he just went, killed the police and the fighting force. And, he has an ability that if you don't understand it immediately, you could die immediately if you're not strong enough. And so I think that's why it was so useful. But yeah, I just think he's just so well written. And I think, him following his word and him, because he trusted Madara. And he's a trusting guy by nature, right? He still has that positiveness somewhere within, even though he buries it quite deep. But we see it when he's portraying himself as Toby, which people say is the white Zetsu or whatever, but Obito is in there. And I think he does this as a way to hide himself, but also I think a way to indulge a little bit in being somebody that isn't seeking world peace and carrying the burden of the whole world on his shoulders. And I love that in his mind, he is also a hero. And at the end, he decides that Naruto, his way is the right way because Naruto's way is the way that Obito initially was. And without even realizing it, Obito was one of the key inspirations and reasons why Naruto ended up the way he was, because his mother wished that into existence. And I think that's special and that's beautiful. And I think that connection, is why Obito should have been the final villain. I think him not changing and him fighting, and his story with Kakashi and Naruto, it was so personal and it connected so well, that it would have been beautiful to see him, maybe be the one to undo some of the things before Sasuke and Naruto fought, because Sasuke was always going to be the final villain. I think that's completely understood. I think the story always required that to be the final battle, and I think it would have been great to see that. You know, but I love Obito. I think he's just fantastic, and I just wanted to talk about him a little bit. I'm in Italy at the moment, so I'm whispering a little bit. I can't really speak the same way that I do, but I hope the volume is okay, and I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I don't know if I get time to edit it. If I don't, then you might just get a picture. If I do, then you might get some visuals. But yeah, it's been your boy Supreme Uchiha the God. Make sure you leave a like, comment, and subscribe, and I'm out.